Guys, I hope you're on here with me. Um, Welcome to Unpacking Brain Drama. It is Thursday and it is been amazing weather. It's a little humid today, but welcome to another amazing episode of Unpacking Brain Drama. I am Pratiti Pathak and I am your host and your guide on this amazing journey of self-discovery and living an intentional life and just complete empowerment over your own autonomy, right? Today, we're doing episode 194, and we're going to talk about the human operating system, why we glitch when we're trying to grow, right? When growth is happening, we start glitching. And today I'm going to talk about it in a way that is very interesting. It comes up a lot, almost every single week in my coaching sessions. Someone will come to me and say, Pratik, I know what I need to do. I've read all the books. I'm listening to the podcasts. So why do I keep getting in my own way? Right? Maybe you've asked yourself this same exact question. I know I have. Um, I know I've asked myself over and over, like, what is my problem? Right? What am I doing wrong here? Why do we procrastinate when we know what needs to be done? Right? Why do we self-sabotage opportunities when we've worked so hard to create them to begin with? Right? Why do we shrink ourselves down um, when we know that we want to expand and we're actually saying it out loud? We're like, we want this growth, but yet we like hide under the covers, right? For years, I thought there had to be something deeper happening. And then one day I just kind of realized something. Human beings aren't that different from our technology and our digital devices, from our phones, our laptops and computers, our GPS systems, and all of our smart devices, right? Stay with me for a moment, because I think this is a really great analogy that explains, or that you may resonate with the explanation of why we struggle in certain ways, right? Think about this. Have you ever noticed what happens when your phone needs a system update? What usually happens? The apps start freezing, right? Your battery starts draining faster. Your programs seem to crash constantly, right? For me, I definitely know I'll try to open up an app and it will just close immediately, right? The screen hesitates, it spins, right? And maybe it won't sync up properly. Same thing with my GPS. When it starts acting strange, it starts taking me on a joyride. It starts getting glitchy. Think about me when I first started this podcast. I was glitching all over the place, right? I couldn't figure out the thing and it needed an update. So when that happens, what do we usually do? We don't throw the phone away, right? We don't call it stupid. We don't tell it to work harder. Maybe some of us tell it to work harder, but we don't shame it, right? We simply recognize one thing. Maybe it needs an update. The operating system needs an update, right? The hardware is fine. The program is just outdated. The phone isn't broken. It's just trying to run today's demands on yesterday's software. And here's where that's fascinating to me. Most of us understand this concept immediately, right? When it comes to technology. Yet when it comes to ourselves, we completely forget. What are we forgetting? I believe every single one of us has an operating system. It's called the human operating system. What is that? What is that all about? What is involved in our human operating system? It's made up of our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotional patterns, our habits, our conditioning, our environment, right? Everything we've learned about ourselves and the world, some of that programming serves us. Some of it doesn't, right? Some of it has helped us survive, right? Some of it has helped us belong and stay safe. But what served us at one stage of our life may not be something that will serve us forever, right? And that's where some of our troubles begin, because eventually life calls us to become someone new, right? That fourth grade version of you had to evolve into the 10th grade version of you. What does that really mean? Welcome to different versions, right? Maybe the 1.0 version of you was a people pleaser. And now you're trying to go to the 2.0 version of you that sets healthier boundaries, right? Maybe the 1.0 version of you avoided difficult conversation, but 2.0 communicates directly and honestly. Version 1.0 played small. Version 2.0 shares their gift with the world, right? Version 1.0 operated from fear. That was me. The 2.0 version operates from trust, right? Maybe 1.0 version of you survived. And now 2.0 version of you is ready to thrive. That's amazing. But here's the problem. Many of us are trying to create that version of 2.0 results while still running version 1.0 programming. That's where the glitches start happening, right? That's where we start to glitch. This is the part that I really want you to hear, though. The glitch is not the problem. The glitch is the clue. Okay, let me repeat that. The glitch is not the problem. The glitch is the clue. When fear shows up, that's a glitch. When self-doubt shows up, that's a glitch. When you start overthinking, when procrastination appears, there's the glitch, right? When perfectionism tries to take over, that's a glitch. Or when you start spinning in confusion, right? Many of us will interpret these moments as evidence that something's going wrong, right? I think those moments are evidence that something is changing, right? We're evolving, because every time you attempt to become the newer version of yourself, the old programming gets challenged, right? It's an opportunity for us to get curious around that. And the challenged program often creates that temporary instability, okay? It's like an internal conflict that's going on. Think about what happens when you decide to make a major change. And I want you to not think of it always as a bad thing, right? Major changes can be super positive things, right? It can even be, I want to get married, right? I want to start a family, start having kids. Or it could be something as simple as like you want to start a business, right? You want to leave corporate and you want to start your own business. I want to write a book. I want to leave a toxic relationship. I want to launch a podcast, right? Think about the 1.0 version of me launching my podcast. If you guys have been with me for any length of time or from the beginning, you'll know I used to glitch all the time because I couldn't figure out my digital platform over here, right? And then I realized, oh, I can't have this running, or I can't have that running, or I need to upgrade my system, right? And now here's the 2.0 version of me. Wonder what the 3.0 version of me will look like, right? Maybe you want to raise your standards. Maybe you want to speak on stage, set boundaries. Suddenly your brain starts talking to you. Like, what are you doing? Right? Who do you think you are? What if you fail? What if this doesn't go? What if this doesn't go the way that we thought it would? What if people start to judge us or laugh at us, right? Or what if it just doesn't work? What if you're not ready? Sound familiar? I know that was the 1.0 version of me talking all the time. That's the old programming that was just trying to keep the system in a familiar mode, right? Because your operating system values certainty. Growth requires uncertainty. Your programming values predictability. Growth requires expansion. Your programming values safety. Growth requires courage, right? The conflict is what creates the glitch, right? It's the reason that most of us think self-sabotage means that maybe we don't want success. I don't believe that at all, right? I think most self-sabotage is just simply outdated programming trying to maintain familiar patterns, right? It's our subconscious mind. It loves what's familiar. When what's familiar isn't serving us, it doesn't matter. It still wants familiar even when it isn't serving us. Familiar stress feels safer than unfamiliar peace. Did you ever notice that? Have you ever actually left an uncomfortable situation, whether it was a toxic relationship, whether it was a job that wasn't working for us, right? That stress felt safer than the peace that we actually wanted. But the peace all of a sudden is unfamiliar, so it feels uncomfortable, right? Even though we wanted positive energy around us instead of negative energy. We wanted quiet, right? Where we can just relax. But it feels so weird and it almost can create some anxiety for us, right? Familiar struggle feels safer than unfamiliar success, right? I'm starting to do really well. Oh God, what's happening, right? Familiar limitations will always feel more safe than an unfamiliar possibility, right? Not because they are, and not because they're better. They're just known, right? That's why awareness matters so much. You cannot update a program if you don't know that you're running it. I say this all the time. Our brain is kind of like our phone, right? That's the reason that this podcast episode came up. It's because I say it all the time. Did you ever have like a shitty app that's running in the background that's just draining your battery? You can't know why your battery keeps getting drained if you're not aware of which app, if you don't know which app it is. And that's what's happening with us, right? We're just draining our battery because we got this app that's spinning in the background. Our apps are programs, right? They're conditioning, their patterns, their behaviors. Here's the good news though. Just like our digital platforms can get upgraded, our human operating system also can be updated and upgraded. Not instantly the same way your digital platforms can, right? They don't do it automatically, not with just a single breakthrough, right? We can't just push a button and hit update, but through awareness and repetition, absolutely. Every time you challenge an old belief, you're updating the system. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're updating the system. Every time you choose courage over comfort, updating the system, right? Every time you take action in spite of fear, you're updating the system. Every time you interrupt an old pattern, you are doing an update. You are doing an upgrade, right? The upgrade happens one choice at a time, one thought at a time, one simple action at a time, and just one day at a time. So I want to leave you with a different question today. Not what's wrong with me, not why do I keep struggling, not why can't I get myself together, right? Instead, I want you to ask yourself, what if this is just a glitch? What if this is perfectly normal? What if this is the clue, right? What if this is simply evidence that my operating system is being upgraded? And then ask yourself, where in my life am I trying to take a 2.0 version result, right? Where am I trying to create a 2.0 version result while still running 1.0 version programming, right? Because that question can change everything, right? It moves you from judgment into curiosity, from shame into awareness, right? Frustration into ownership. And awareness is where transformation begins. Listen, resilience doesn't come from judging ourselves. It comes from getting curious, getting some awareness, taking ownership, and being intentional. That is the return on the investment in your brain. Resilience comes from ownership and in taking intentional action, right? So here's a little bit of a question to get you to be a little thought provoked, a little bit of reflection, but what part of my life feels glitchy right now? What result am I trying to create? And am I trying to create it from 1.0 version or 2.0 version? What is the 1.0 version belief that might still be running underneath the goal that I'm trying to create, right? And what would version 2.0 believe? How would version 2.0 think? How would version 2.0 act and behave today? Right? What's one small upgrade that I can make this week? Trailblazers, remember this, okay? Always. I say it all the time because it is the number one thing that I hear and I want you guys to always be thinking about. There is nothing gone wrong, right? We're not broken. We don't need to be repaired. We're not behind, right? We're not like, oh, I should be further along by now, right? You're not failing. You may just simply be outgrowing an old operating system, and every upgrade requires some tweaking, some adjustment, right? Every upgrade requires a learning curve, right? Every upgrade requires some patience. I want you to treat yourself with love and compassion and forgiveness while glitching your way to a new version of yourself, right? The glitches don't mean anything's going backwards, right? It only is evidence that you are in growth mode. You're growing forward. Okay. So thank you for joining me for another amazing episode of Unpacking Brain Drama. And if this resonates with you, please share it with someone that you would love to be on that growth journey with you and that needs to hear this message. And until next time, just always remember, create those results by design